Good afternoon, and how are you today? Let me just find us very quickly on my tablet here, and then we can get started. I hope you all are having a great day. It's beautiful weather here in the Southern Highlands. It's 19 degrees. Lovely to see spring is with us. Okay, there we are. I've found us on the tablet, so that is good. So please leave a comment to say hello. Not all the time do my comments actually come up to where I can read them. Oh, hi Glenda, I can actually see them today. So please say hello. Let me know that you're visiting. If it's the first time you've been on here, let me know where you're from. It's great seeing people from all around the world joining us. So let's get started. So we're going to have a look at the mini catalogue and one of the products in the mini catalogue. So I'm just going to flip my camera. Yes, I am well, thank you, Glenda. And Joy is joining us as well. She's watching. Okay, so this is our mini catalogue, and this goes from July through to December. It's got all our Christmas products in it, and for those in America, your Thanksgiving as well as Halloween and a few others. So the product we're going to be looking at today is traditionally probably a Thanksgiving stamp set. And normally here in Australia we don't celebrate Thanksgiving as you do in America, so this is probably one. Oh, hi Kerry, how are you? Where are you from? Thank you for joining us today. So it's probably not really one that I would normally have bought, but I would really love the colours and the richness of this, so I purchased it, and today is my first play with it. There's some really lovely products in the whole suite. You've got your stamp set and you've got some beautiful dies. We're going to be using some of these really small little dies. So let me just grab my stamp set. Where have I popped that? So I can just show you. So there's the stamp set there. It's got a beautiful leaves and a lovely little bird and some really nice sayings here. You know, I'm here for you. Some people are just likable, and you're one of those people. And then some other fonts that I know this is a difficult day, and the changing of leaves reminds us that new wonders are around the corner. So, you know, it's probably not really that suitable here because we are going into spring, so we are starting to warm up here and have lots of beautiful flowers coming out, and all our trees are coming into bloom and blossom. But it's still a good fun one to play with. Now, with this in the dies, you have got quite a few dies in here. You've got one which is a really large, whoops, can't lose that, leaf die, which I haven't had a play with as yet. And then you've got the die that cuts out some of these images here, so we can cut out the bird with that little die there. Just I've popped all these into a cellophane bag just so I don't lose them, because I haven't got any magnets at the moment to put this on. You've got this die here which cuts out this one. You've got this little die here which cuts out that one there. So let me just turn that one around so you can see. And then you have these extra dies here which cuts out some other leaves. I think they might be oak leaves. I could be wrong, because they are American leaves, not what we find here in Australia that much. So but I'm going to be using these ones today. So I've already pre-cut everything I need, so I'll show you those when we get to them. So let me just pop all those back into their little bag so we don't lose them all. We'll pop that big one in there. That's going to be a great one to play with when I get around to that. Now in this suite you've also got some gold colour vellum, a beautiful range of designer series paper, and you know, and the designer series paper is a specialty paper, so it's got gold embossing on it as well. So it's a beautiful product. Here in Australia it's $146.50 to get the whole suite, and the suite also includes some gold ribbon, which I did have here. Yep, here it is. It's had a long ribbon sitting on top of it, so that's it there. So some really lovely products. It's got also an ephemera pack that goes with it, which I haven't actually had a play with as yet. When we're not using that today, so I'll show you that at a later time when I have a bit more of a play. So let's get into this card, because there are a few things that I wanted to show you. So this is the card I've made, and I want to show you how to make it today. And I'm mainly showing you what I've done here with the tags. Whoops, we just lost. We're back on again, thank you. So I've used for those tags the tailor-made tag dies, and the tag that I'm using for this is this largest one here. So it's got the squared off corners on it and the stitching and the angles cut at the top. So that's what we've used there. I've also used in this, I've cut a few of these little pieces, which just goes at the top to give you extra support in that loop if you're using it actually as a tag, but I've used it as well. So that's what we're using today. So let me pop those to one side, because I have all pre-cut that. Now we are going to get a little bit messy. Well, I'm going to get a bit messy, but I hope this is something that will encourage you maybe to get a bit messy too and have a little bit of fun with another colouring technique. So I have put down a silicone mat on my work surface here, so I don't get a lot of ink flowing where I don't want it to go. And what we're going to do is I've cut some of these tags, and I've cut them in very vanilla. So there's our very vanilla tags, and we're going to colour them and give them a sort of very rustic sort of look to them. So the way I've done that, so let me just remove that so we don't damage that at all. And we're going to be using with our re-inkers, and we're going to be using soft suede and crumb cake. I couldn't get my words out there. So if you go back to my card here, the tag on the bottom I've used the soft suede, and the tag on the top I've used the crumb cake. So we're going to colour those up. I'm going to start off by doing the crumb cake one. So we only need one tag for that at the moment. Now this is something you need to do over a period of time, so you need to sort of play with it and then let it dry and come back and finish your card. So I have actually made some all this morning, so I can sort of keep going and show you how the card's done. So let me start off with showing you this one here. So we're just going to grab our crumb cake, add a couple of dots of ink to that, and we need to actually spray some water on that as well, just to loosen those colours up. Now I also recommend spraying your tag also with some water, just to help that all flow. And the other thing that I recommend doing is grabbing a paintbrush. Now I did have one here earlier. I don't know what I've done with it. I may have accidentally thrown it in my bin, which I'll get that out of later. And I'm just going to mix those up. If you don't do that, what can happen is that you can end up with some blotches like this one. This is the one I did with soft suede this morning, and these big blotches are my drops of ink. I didn't swish it around a little bit, so I've swished that around. So I'm going to get my tag now and just turn it upside down and just smooch it in. That's all it is. And you just want to collect all that ink. You can go back and get some more. You can leave some very vanilla areas if you want. If you find that that's too light, always come back in and add a little bit more colour. Just make sure you do actually add a little bit of water with that, just to bring that down a bit. Give it that bit of a smooch, and then just keep dipping until you get that the way you want it. So it's nothing too fiddly or too delicate with this. You just keep smooching it around. Just be very careful, because your cardstock is actually getting quite damp, and you don't want to sort of damage that too much. So there you go. So that's that tag done in our soft crumb cake. Sorry, really having trouble today with my words. Now also too, make sure you've got plenty of paper towel around, because you will need to sort of clean up a little bit of the residue before we go on to the next one. So that's our crumb cake. So this, I'm actually going to keep playing with this later on this afternoon and do some in blues, because I saw a lovely tag done earlier in the year by my very good friend Shani, and I have been meaning to do something, and I just thought of an idea today while playing with this. So now I'm laying down some of the soft suede ink. Now some of these inks are a little bit different. This soft suede is very very thick, almost glue-like, compared to the crumb cake, which has got a lot more liquid and oops, sorry, we're back again. Looks like we're been having a little bit of wind around lately in the last few days. It's because August tends to be our windy month, so I'm sorry if my computer keeps going in and out. But anyway, what I was saying is that the soft suede is not as fluid as the crumb cake, so you might just want to add a little bit extra water to that one. And again, grab another tag. If you wanted a slightly drier look, I wouldn't wet your tag as much, but I do want to cover most of my tag in colour. And I'm just going to pop a little bit more water into there, just to get that to spread a little bit, not too much. And again, just start dabbing away. You want a sort of like an aged look. This is I don't know, when I used to do scrapbooking years ago, walnut ink was a good thing that people used to like to do with their scrapbook pages. I'm just adding a bit more water to this because I want some of that colour just to flow a little bit. Just going to add a little bit more ink around there because I do want to get rid of some of that very vanilla. Yeah, so walnut ink was used a lot for that, giving that aged look. So we're sort of heading down. If you used that back, 10 or so years ago with scrapbooking, I'm assuming it's still around. I know I've got some still somewhere. And we're sort of trying to get that little bit of that vintage sort of look. So I'm just going to keep using up all of this ink, just sop it all up. Might pop a little bit more ink on there because I want a bit more depth of colour around the bottom there. Oops, looks like we're going to have in and out with that internet today. So I'm just going to put a little bit there. And I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's just wipe all this up. Wipe my brush up. Just pop that in there and just remember not to throw that one in the bin. We'll go searching for the other one later. Okay, so once you've done that and you're happy with what you've done, now you can let that just dry for a few hours, or you can grab your heat gun and just give that a real good dry. Now I'm not going to worry about that too much right now because, as I said, I have actually already done some and I've got them dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop this down on the floor out of our road. There we go. Try not to tread into that when I get up. So here are some tags that I did earlier, and you're always best to do a few just to get the one you want. What I have found with these dyes, there's a lot of green in the base of the ink, so that's my wrong side, that's my right side. You can see there's the ink splatters there. That might work out well because I'm going to actually pop these over the top, and I think I like that one. That's actually the right side there. Let's have a look at these ones on the right, going the right side. Okay, they're all that right side. So let's have a look. I think I will change my mind and go with that one because I've got a bit more all over colour. And this one here, I don't really like that one there. Might not be too bad. Let's remove those two. Okay, I think I might go with that one because it's got a little bit more texture of colour in it. Okay, so now we're going to do some stamping on this just to add some extra dimension to it as well. So I'm going to start off with one of my fonts. So I've got my large font, and the inks that we're using today are the Rich Raspberry, Soft Suede, Crumb Cake, and Blackberry Bliss, but I haven't re-inked that one up as yet, so we might do a lot more in our Rich Raspberry. So let me just grab the Crumb Cake to start with. Alison, hi, how are you? Alison's a friend of mine from when we were kids growing up. How are you, darling? And Bryony, thanks for joining us. There's a few extra people here today. It's good to see you. Katrina. Oh, that computer keeps coming in and out. I'm terribly sorry for that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to ink that up. I'm going to stamp that off a little bit, and I'm just stamping some background. So I'm just making a bit of background. I don't really want it full strength as yet. And then I'm going to come in with my Soft Suede, and I've got this lovely fern type leaf here, and again I'm just going to ink this up, and I'm just going to stamp that off because we are using a darker color. And it doesn't really matter what direction and anything you do, and then we can just do second generation stamping. So we're starting to build some of that up. Now I'm going to bring in here my darker one in the Soft Suede, and I want to put a little bit of Soft Suede on this. So again, I'm going to stamp that off a little bit. So I'm stamping Soft Suede onto Soft Suede here. It's still going to show up, which is good. And the other little one I've got is the stamp set also has these great little splatters. So I want to add a few splatters around. Now this tag here is going to get covered up, so I'm sort of not overly fussing too much. And I'm going to then stamp that off. I'm just having a look for my chamois here just so I can take some of that ink off that one. And I'm going to come in with the Crumb Cake on here, and again put a few of these in Crumb Cake, and I'm going to put a few in. You can do a couple of second generations in that as well. Now the only other thing that I want to do on these, particularly on this one here, I'm going to come in with the Rich Raspberry with my font again. So let me just... Now before, on my other card, on this card here, I think I used the soft suede to stamp the lettering again, but this time I'm going to use a little bit of the Rich Raspberry. I am going to stamp it off because I do want it strong, but not overly. Oh, what do I? Because that one there. Oh, let's do it full strength and see what happens. So again, I'm just going to stamp that on top and just do a little bit of maybe second generation, third generation up there. So I'm not worrying about the stamp actually fitting within that area, because it's really just to give it a bit of a texture and just sort of add, you know, sort of a bit of antiqueness to it, because it's not really the sentiment that I'm using. So that's our, if that makes any sense, that's our two tags. Now I wanted to just maybe play with these corners a little bit, give it a little bit of more of an aged, and just sort of roll and unroll. I'm not doing too much to it because I don't want the whole tag to be just sort of, but all I want to do is just give that corner a bit of a roll, and the same with this one, just so then it's not looking too new and crisp. And luckily the colour has gone through to the back, so it's not coming up and bright. You do have a bit of that very vanilla sort of coming up and being very true to the very vanilla colour. You could always get a sponge and sponge some of the soft suede onto the back there, but again I'm just going to just roll that corner a little bit just to give it a bit of a textured look. So let's just remove that. Okay, so as I said before, I have pre-die cut some of these leaves, and I've die cut them in scraps of my of the different colors I'm using, which is Rich Raspberry, Blackberry Bliss, and I'm also using the gold metallics. I'm using this here. I really love this paper, the Golden Rose gold metallic specialty paper. Really lovely. So I've cut some gold in the leaves, but what I'm looking for is this little piece here. So let me just pop those all to one side. That's the little die cut piece for the tag. So going to pop some, not putting one onto the soft suede. I'm only going to put this onto the crumb cake because that's going to be at the top. And I'm just putting a little bit of glue across the top there. And pop that into place over that hole of my tag. So they're my tags. So if you wanted to learn or play with other colors, I'm actually going to play with blues and probably the Bermuda Bay this afternoon on white tags and see how that comes up. So that's just how you can play with your cardstock and sort of get different techniques and different colours, give you a bit of an aged look. So that's our tags done for our card. So let me show you what other products we're going to be using for our card today. So we're going to have a card base in your Blackberry Bliss, and that measures 10.5 by 29.9 centimetres, and I've scored that at 14.9. I've then got a piece of Rich Raspberry, which is 10 by 14.4. Hi Peggy, how are you? And Carol, great to see you joining us today. So that's 10 by 14.4. So I've just gone down, there's 0.5 centimetre difference between the front, if I folded this in half, of the my card base, there's 0.5 centimetre difference to that one to that one. Then I'm using a piece of the Specialty Designer Series paper, and the piece I've decided to use is this piece here, which is in the colour of Cinnamon Cider. Now just be very careful when you're cutting your Designer Series paper. This particular piece of paper has a one-way direction, so you want to cut it with your flowers going up and down, and then when you glue it into place on your card, you want to continue that going up and down. Sorry, we've just... Okay. Yep, sorry. We just lost again there for a moment. I think it must be the weather out there. It's a bit windy. It's lovely and warm, but the wind is probably just blowing things around too much. Now, what I was just saying was make sure you cut this taking into account it's a one-way direction cardstock. So you want your flowers going up and down with your flowers at the top and your stems going down from it. So just be aware when you're cutting this paper and when you're gluing it to your mat that you've got that all going in the right direction. We also need a piece of Very Vanilla, and that will go on the inside of our card for our where we want to write on that card, just like I've done here. And I've also added another little piece of the Designer Series paper, which is 1.5 centimeters by 10 centimeters. Okay, just let me repeat that again. So our Very Vanilla is 10 by 14.4 centimeters, and our trim to go on the bottom is 1.5 by 10. Okay, so let's put our card together. So we've got our Blackberry Bliss, and I've already scored this at 14.4. So I'm going to fold that in half, and I'm going to use my bone folder just to give me a nice crisp edge along there. Okay, we're going to take our, pop those out of the road, take our Rich Raspberry, which is our matte, and our Designer Series paper. We're going to add some glue. Now I'm using the multi-purpose glue because I like this because it does give me a little bit of slip when I'm attaching the paper to my cardstock, so it allows me to move it into position, and I'm making sure that my floral design is going in the right direction and adhering that around. So I was saying before that there's 0.5 centimeter difference between the Rich Raspberry matte to my card base. But then with the Designer Series paper, I've only got 3 millimeters difference. So it's just been cut 3 millimeters smaller. Okay, let me just make sure I've got slip. Yep, still got a bit of slip there, so I can just maneuver that. So once you've got all of that, you can glue that now to your card base. Now everything I've done here today will be on my blog by sometime over the weekend, and I'll also upload this video to YouTube, so you can go to YouTube and watch this on my channel, which is Michelle Jutrissa. Now you will find links to my online store. Okay, you will find links to my online store above this video, so if you do want to go and have a look at the store and have a look at the products, if you live here in Australia, place an order through me. That would be wonderful. It would help me out, you know, beautifully at this moment, because with COVID and everyone's sort of at home, my husband's not working at the moment, so it's making things a little bit harder. So we're going to take our, so that's our card front there all done. We're going to take our insert for our card there, which is a 10 by 14.4, and we're going to add that strip of Designer Series paper to the bottom of it. Again, I'm just looking, making sure that I've got it going in the same direction. This piece here probably really doesn't matter that much, but if you had a piece with the flower heads on it, you might want to do that. So I'm just going to, again, pop a little bit of glue on the back. Not too much, you don't want too much glue oozing out. Make sure I've got that in the direction I want it to go. And I'm going to pop that on the bottom there. Just get rid of that piece of glue there. And then that also can be glued on the inside of your card. Now I'm not using any dimensionals at the moment on this part of the card, just the fact that I don't want to have too much height, but I will be using dimensionals on my tags. Then we're just going to adhere that on the inside. Just move that into place where I want that to be. Okay, a little bit of glue oozing out there. That's all right. So there's the base of our card done. So now we're going to put our tags on and start decorating the front of our card. So with this tag here, we're going to just pop a little bit of glue on the back. And I'm just gluing that basically parallel with that side line. So it's just going straight up and down. Then I'm going to take my other tag in my crumb cake and we're going to add a couple of dimensionals on the bottom there, but I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue at the top because I want that to sort of sit down almost flat there, because I'm going to add some bows and different things there, but I want it a bit raised at the bottom. Remember to take your backings off your dimensionals. As I said before, all these products you will find on my online Stampin' Up store, and we're just going to line up that hole, but we're going to pop that at an angle. So what we've got here, we've got, don't know whether you can see that, but we've got that set fairly flat there, then our dimensionals giving it a bit of height at the bottom. So we've sort of got like a wedged, it's a bit hard to see, effect there. Okay, so that's that part done. Now going to go a tag. We need to make our sentiment piece that's going to go across, and I've just got a scrap of Very Vanilla for that, and the sentiment that I'm using, and I'm going to use the Rich Raspberry. And just ink that up. Just remember, you only just need to tap when you're inking that up. And we're going to line that up as straight as we possibly can. You can use grid paper there underneath just to get our cardstock nice and straight. And we're going to stamp that straight down. Just hold it there for a couple of seconds and then back up again. So let me just close this up so we've got that out of our road. Close up our glue for the moment so it doesn't dry off. So now we just need to trim that down a bit. Now you can use your paper trimmer. I like to use my little guillotine. Unfortunately, Stampin' Up don't sell this any longer. And I'm just going to pop this in here. And I like to use my this piece of Perspex plastic here as a guide of where I'm going to cut. And I'm just going to start off with by cutting my top of my piece of cardstock there, my sentiment. And then once I've done that, so because I've got not much there to play with, I'm going to add like a little handle onto this just to give me something to hold on to. So I just get a bit of post-it note and I'm going to stick that on there just like that. So my post-it note just gives me that little handle, and again I'm just going to pop this in here and I'm going to trim the bottom of that. And my guide that I've used for the depth of my piece that I've cut is actually the metal blade. It goes from, let me just grab this so I can show you. It goes from this point here, from just on the outside, just to about in there, which is just around about a centimetre, probably 1.2, 1.3. So I've used that as my guide of how wide I wanted to cut this piece here. Now, I also want to make sure that this piece is lengthwise is only about 10 centimeters, because I think this is a little bit more. And I think, no, I think I have got 10. Let's just double check. So I'm going to pop that back in there again. There's 10, I want 10 and a half actually. It's the width of my card. And it is just a little bit, so I'm going to take a little bit off the other side. So I want to just make sure that that's 10 and a half centimeters. And I'm just going to cut a little slither off there. You can pick up guillotines like that through other suppliers at any of your craft stores. So the guillotines are actually quite good for trimming that tiny little bits off. So we're going to pop this across here. Now the only place I'm going to actually pop some dimensionals are on the edge, because I've already raised it up in the middle, so I don't necessarily want to make that into a curve. I want it to sit straight going across. So I'm just going to put a dimensional on either end. You could put a little bit of glue, multi-purpose glue, in the middle if you wanted to, but I don't think it's really needed. It'll just sit across that top. Put those out of the road. Position that where you wanted that to go. Okay, let's just remove some of these bits and pieces around here. Okay, so that's going across our card just like that. And we're going to make a bow. So what I have here, a lovely friend of mine has made for me some bow makers. And she's made it in a lovely butterfly head. So anyone who, I've got a few of these made up, so if anyone who places an order with me here in Australia for $50 or more will get one of these sent out to them as a thank you gift this month. So to make your bow, and I'm going to be making it out of the crumb cake baker's twine, but I just thought I'd show you first how you do it by using a piece of ribbon. So I've got just a scrap piece of ribbon here. Let me see if I can get this right. I've always got to think how I do it. So I'm going to lay my piece of ribbon over the top, wrap it around. So I come back around. So I've gone from my left-hand side here. I'm just going to hold that there, taking it across to my right, go underneath and back up to my left-hand side. I'm going to tuck this piece down in through that hole there. It's where it can be a little bit fiddly. And then it's going to come back up through the slit at the bottom. Take this piece that you've got here on your left hand side, tie a knot, and that's going to give you your bow. So if you wanted a bow that's not actually attached to your, not attached to what was I going to say? You're not wrapping it around and tying a bow. You're going to use a bow and you want to have it adhered separately. That's a great little bow to make. So I'm going to make a bow like that, but I'm going to be using my baker's twine. Now I did pop my baker's twine somewhere. Yes, I've got it here. Now with this baker's twine, this is the baker's twine essential pack. It comes with your white, your very vanilla, smoky slate or basic grey and black, and also crumb cake. So we're going to use some crumb cake. Now with my bow on my card, I've actually done multiple bows, so it's got lots of loops in it rather than just having one loop like this bow here I just made. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So I'm going to take a length of my baker's twine. I'm going to hold that down with my thumb on the left hand side, and I'm going to wrap this around. So I'm going to wrap it around once, twice, 3 times. Then I'm going to grab my scissors, cut off a piece. So 3 times. I'm going to bring that up. Whoops. Let me have a look. 3 times there. No, I need to bring it back over. So I've got to come. Let me just do that again. So I'm leaving myself a good tail there. I'm going to hold it on my left hand side, and I'm going to wrap it across. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 and back. So I've got both my tails on my side. I'm going to then take this piece here, pop it through that hole at the top, and then come back up through that split at the bottom. Then take my other tie there, and I'm going to tie it off in a good knot. So I'm just going to do a double knot there. Slide that off. So I've got my tails, and I've got a bow there with my 3 bows on either side. Okay, so that's all we're going to do. So if you're wanting one of these, you do need to place an order with me this month for $50 or more, and I will send you out one of those. So we're just going to grab a glue dot. Does that count for orders made on Wednesday? Yes, Bryony, yours is already in your bag, ready to be sent out to you. So yours is coming, darling. Okay. So we're just going to pop a glue dot on the back of that. Whoops, didn't want to stay. I'm actually just going to leave that there for a moment because I just forgot. I want to add my leaves onto here. So let me just pop these out of the road, and we're going to bring these leaves back in. So what I wanted is you've got different sizes in these leaves. I just want a small piece in my gold, and I need another one in that one there. Okay, so I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue. Yeah, Bryony, don't worry, I haven't forgotten you. Bit of glue onto there, and we're just going to pop that just on the side of that hole. Going to pop a gold one on next. Oops. Just be careful not to put too much glue on there. And we're going to pop that one in there. And then the rich raspberry can go on top. All of those onto there like that. Now you could pop your block on top of that just to hold that down while you're getting your bow made. Just going to slip my scissors, tip of my scissors underneath there, pick up that glue dot with the bow on it. Just take that off for the moment, and just glue that straight down on top of there. Now I'm leaving my tails fairly long on that, and then just to finish off this card, I'm just going to remove all that so I don't get ink on my card. I'm going to pop a few more of these little leaves just on the inside, and I'm going to use a big gold one, just using up some of those extras that I've got. So I'm going to pop that there, just at a slight angle. Grab a Blackberry Bliss leaf, pop a little bit of glue on that, and then one of the little rich raspberry ones. Pop that down onto there. Okay. Just get rid of some of these little bits and pieces. Keep those for later on. Again, you could put your block back onto that just to hold that down for a little. Put your block back on there just for a little bit, just to hold it down, just to make sure that that glue starts drying and they don't move. But just for now, I'm just going to close that up. So there's our card. Oh, one piece I did forget to pop on there. Need to add a little bit of bling. I'm not a real bling person, but lately I have been adding a little bit of bling to my card, and I've got my Wink Stella here. I think it might be running out of stuff in there because I can't hear that ball moving, so I'm going to have to add a little bit of alcohol into that. And I'm just going to give that a really light squeeze just to get that ink flowing a bit. And we're just going to tap this all over. Now just make sure when you are doing this you don't have stuff lying around, because everything will get splattered in this. Okay, let's have a look. Did I get much on there? Yes, it isn't the easiest thing to see on camera, but I have got a little bit of splatter of bling. So that's the cards that I've made for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If I get my other idea made, I will post it on my blog as well in the next few days with the tag that I want to try. So go and have a look at my blog and see what I've got up there. As I said, if you wish to get a bow maker, you need to place an order with me for $50 or more. Okay. Let me try that again. Sorry, if you want the bow maker, you need to place an order with me for $50 or more, and I will post it out to you, only for those here in Australia. All my products are, that I've used today, you will find on my shop, which is at michellejutrissa.stampinup.net, and you will find the link of that for this above my video. Please go over to my YouTube channel if you want to rewatch this video again. It will be loaded up sometime over this weekend. And please subscribe and to get all my other videos. I hope you have a lovely day. Let me just flip this camera over so you can actually see me again. Thank you, Carol. Okay, so thank you again for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed this card. Please come and join me again next Friday as we make something else. So have a lovely day. Enjoy the beautiful weather we have here at the moment, and take care. Bye for now.